time to peak. Also, I think it's a very bold choice to make a roster move right before the major. But today, so far, it's mostly worked out. They're here in round 4 with a chance to qualify over Space Station. So good luck. And I'm curious to see if they've got what it takes to take down a team that plays as well as Space Station does, despite maybe they got a better chance because Space Station's looked a little spotty today, but only time and the gameplay will tell.
We'll see how it goes as we get into this best of 5. We've got the Sonics in the blue, Space Station in the orange, a best of 5 at a 2-1 scoreline right now in the Swiss, which means if you win this match, you're into next weekend. If you lose, you still got another life, so hopefully we're going to see some great Rocket League with the lack of pressure on these guys' shoulders. We've already seen an excellent scoring opportunity from the Sonics about 7 seconds into the game, went off the post. Now here they come again. Rolled is onto the backboard. Typical with the drop down into his own third. Shock, soft touchback. Typical will catch it on his dismount. And then J-Russ going to try and catch this one. Moving it forward. Arsenal and Reddle's going to try and get it out of their back third. The ball spent so much time in this back third right now. The touch is in the midfield. Midfield pass. Blocked. Arsenal got it on the goal line. And here comes Typical. Back to midfield. Rolled it. And the clears from the corner, man. The touches from Space Station, they're getting not even solid power. They're not booming it. They're also not controlling it. They're just kind of chipping it, and it just constantly keeps getting caught in the midfield.
Yeah, it's because the midfield boost control from the Sonics has been really, really nice, and they're following up a lot of those balls that are getting jammed in those corners quickly. As finally the transition for Space Station comes through, who else but Shock is going to be on the goal line? And we'll see now that Space Station's out, if they can at least start the real battle for possession at the midfield line instead of just getting pushed back and having to constantly challenge in their own corner.
3:06 on the clock. Space Station's second offensive drive will get countered by a long clear. Roldis puts it on target. Arsenal's up for it, gets the block. Only 22 boosts left and nothing in that corner. All 3 players going to maybe be struggling in Boost Town. Arsenal's up 4. It doesn't make contact, but Reddles will get it away before Roldis could close the gap. Now Reddles falling behind. 2 SSG players missing the midfield, and J-Russ will chip this one. He's got a full tank up against 1 player. Arsenal, what a read! Off to the corner. Reddles over the top of him, and now Shock sends another one from the midfield. Blocked by Reddles. Clear from Arsenal coming through. No, doesn't make contact. Shock drops it into the box, and there's the clear from Reddles. Nice long one. This one glues itself to the ceiling and will travel the entire length of the field.
You got to give a lot of credit to how Space Station are looking on defense. They've been under pressure nonstop since the game started. Did Roldiz just take that away on a clear? Hang on. Off the backboard, towards the net. Oh, he did. J-Russ had that 100%.
Man, after all the action we've seen, that little just like fluke towards the net's the one that goes in. And yeah, Roldiz actually redirects it. Makes an offensive play for Space Station. Not the own goal, not the way you want to start here for the Sonics.
Especially considering that you've been playing so well in the midfield and keeping Space Station from really having any time on offense as well, which in and of itself is already difficult enough.
Yeah, you're keeping them off of the offensive side. And then when they are on the offensive side, they haven't looked super strong. That was absolutely a saved goal. So 100% an unforced own goal. Here's Shock onto the far wall as the Sonics will try to make up the damage. Rolled his pinch in the midfield. Shock quickly turns on it, takes the shot. No, covered up by Riddles. Now Arsenal going to try and follow it, but J-Russ picks it up before he can get there. Arsenal adjusts onto the backboard, gets beaten by J-Russ. Pass in front of the box. Nobody home for the shot. Cleared by Riddles. Back to midfield.
Yeah, I think even the Sonics themselves finding themselves surprised at how effectively they're actually getting the ball out of the corner and into a couple of spots. That's twice now where they could have scored, and this time the goal finds itself open. Not sure if there was a demo or not.
No, Shock just missed. Shock airballs completely for this.
That's the demo.
Yeah, he was... I mean, the pressure was good, but yeah, Shock missing that ball leaves the net wide open for Arsenal. Ball will roll in. 2 goals now for Space Station.
Yeah, tougher play than it initially seems. And another off the kickoff. Pops straight up for Typical. 3-0. Space Station going to walk away with a Game 1 victory despite playing, I think, the much more difficult game here. I think this was an easy one for Sonics, and they just let it slip through their fingers.
They've gotten an own goal, a kickoff goal, and then a forced error goal. Forced error goal, obviously, that's bread and butter in Rocket League, but not exactly the prettiest game one. Did they get a 4th one? No, Shock will get it off the crossbar. pressure continues from Spacestation. Soniqs with so many excellent pieces. I mean, that strong midfield, it's the sort of thing. There's so many games we've talked about, Achieves, over this season where the problem for the team wasn't offense, it wasn't defense, it was the midfield control. And to see a team excel at that and then not be able to put anything together on offense and collapse on defense as much as the Soniqs have, it's just confusing.
Yeah, it's an interesting bind to find yourself in when you're on the Soniqs roster because they did have really good pieces. It's obviously step one is the boost control and keeping Spacestation locked into their own half as J-Russ is going to tip that into his own corner. And Reddle's actually able to make that back. I thought Shock was going to have a freebie there.
Yeah, what a recovery in the transitional defense. Arsenal going to try and follow this one. Shock back into the box. Nobody's home there. Oh, they get the bad shot out of them. Spacestation retreating back into goal, makes the bad shot. Now Reddle's going to try and put the pressure on. J-Russ gets it away. Here's a follow-up. There's one. Now here's two. No, actually, they leave the space back. Arsenal, respecting that they don't need the fourth goal, let's just make sure there's absolutely no chance that they've got any time. Run the time off the clock. And now they can look for that fourth goal now that the game is 100% decided. Reddle's not going to trap it. Spacestation get gifted game number 1.
Yeah, a nice win from Spacestation, but they really did have to play a lot of defense. I honestly don't even know where 12 shots came from, except from right at the end of that game, because they really did spend the first, I don't know, 90 seconds, maybe even 2 minutes, stuck on their own half, just fighting for the ball in the corners. And that's because Soniqs, like we were talking about, doing such a nice job controlling the boost, not necessarily getting the steals, but they were following up very effectively and not letting Spacestation have uncontested clears out of those corners. Because you brought that up at the start of the game. Spacestation was having trouble finding the long clears out of their own half because Soniqs was right behind a lot of them and really making that fight for possession. And where the Soniqs really fell short was just that inability to pull the ball out of the corner and get it into the middle. And since that didn't happen a whole lot in the early game, when that actually happened later, they weren't there because they didn't think it was going to work.
Yeah, no, I think that was the real issue I saw was the Spacestation was gifting them possession. Easy, lob, soft, just throwing a sausage meatball up in front of them saying, here, you can have it. And there was never that follow-up there to really get that 1, 2, 3 pressure on. It seems like Soniqs didn't recognize the advantage they had and look to capitalize on it. So other than a few decent opportunities that we saw created from midfield shots or from retreating defense counterattacks, Soniqs not able to come up with really anything on the offensive side of things despite controlling the pace of the game. We'll see if they can recover here in game number 2. Bounce back in the series. Here's Arsenal. Gets bumped off the ball. Reynolds will pick it up. Arsenal now actually in a position to maybe move on this, but he was going forward too fast and maybe out of not enough boost to really make too much of a play. Now Sipical with a dunk. J-Russ trying to dodge the demolition and control the ball. This one pitches into his goal. Oh, that's so unfortunate. Reynolds will get the credit for it. That's Spacestation on the board.
Yeah, Shock's not really doing anything too wrong here. He just goes out to support J-Russ because he expects Reynolds to win that ball. And Shock is part right. Reynolds does win the ball, but it does not go the way he's thinking. Shock thought that ball was going up the wall or something. It just went right over his head.
That was an extremely fortunate pinch. Now Shock will try to one-man the whole team. Reynolds will beat one in the midfield, and it's in again. Reynolds' accuracy going to come through here. 2-0 now Spacestation.
Wow, Reynolds. Just race for that one, huh? Barely won it, but at the end of the day, that's all you need. And a nice little wall celebration as well. The quick wave dashes up the wall.
The silver tier strat. If I just hit the ball first, maybe I'll score. Hey, sometimes that's actually as simple as it is. Reynolds beats him to it, and he's accurate into the corner. 5 goals straight now we've seen go Spacestation's way across 2 games, and none for the Soniqs. Sipical will carry this out of the shooting lanes. He's out of boost to chase this. Arsenal will try and pick it up.
Oh, he's
now, off the wall. Shock gets a nice piece of it. Back to midfield. Arsenal will just try to hold control on the rotation back in. And actually manages to dribble this into the midfield. Carried high under J-Russ. Reynolds will try to adjust here. J-Russ, what a dunk. Typical over the top of him. Shock gets it out of the goal. Now rolled is. Can he transition? Doesn't even touch it. Now back into the box again. Shock versus Reynolds here. Shock getting bumped from behind by Arsenal. And the ball's above the goal. Rolled is up for it with no sign of Sipical, so they won't get that immediate pressure. And now we can go back down.
Wow.
And here comes Sipical into the goal. That's 3-0.
You want to wonder why Arsenal is so dangerous on this team? It's all in the name. So many different weapons to choose from on offense. We saw the slow air dribble. We saw the quick shot and follow-up challenge on the goal line that just scored it. You've seen him try and drag the ball around the corner. You've seen him go for demos. Arsenal is an absolute monster. And Shock will get one back for him on the kickoff. Because Arsenal, while he might have been able to do some good work on the offensive side here, just misses the challenge and can't cover a very tiny gap left by Reynolds, and that's a nice piece of shooting from Shock to slip that one in there.
Yeah, once Reynolds missed on the goal line, it was Shock's shot to lose. They did not miss. It has not been really a lack of shooting accuracy from the Sonics. It has more been a lack of shooting opportunities.
Yes.
So I'm not worried that once they finally have an opportunity to shoot like Shock just did, that they're going to miss. And put that one on target. And finally, we see the Sonics on the board, 3-1 here in game number 2. Took them about 7 minutes in the series to get on the board. Now they're going to try and make it 2. This bounce not going to work out for Roldes. Arsenal up 4, gets it over the top of him. Slowing on a boost, reaches again. Up against Shock. Nearly got the dunk, but Shock gets the save. Reynolds back in. Arsenal thinks about turning on this. He'll steal the boost out of the corner. And then J. Russ will go for the dribbles here. Pinches it back into his own half. Typical, not in the greatest spot here, but still gets it away. And Arsenal will block the second man and look to get back on offense. Space Station starting to look really clean.
Starting to look clean, but while Arsenal is a fantastic tool to have in the kit on offense, he does need to take care on defense here, and wisely will let that one go for Sipical.
Benches in the midfield for Reynolds. Tries to pass back to Sipical, but intercepted by Shock. And then J. Russ dunks it off of Reynolds' hood. Nice pop from Shock over the top of 2. J. Russ in this corner will try and get it to Shock in the midfield. They'll go back to the corner. Arsenal was still there. Now Sipical in flight. He's got Reynolds in the midfield. Reaches for it. Gets it past him by himself. Roldes makes the save on the crossbar. Excellent defense. And Space Station will be thwarted from a 4th goal.
Squandered there from Roldes. Maybe he just didn't have the boost and trying to just get some field position there with the long clear, but they definitely had Space Station giving them room to work with.
Roldes up. Sipical over 1. Now Reynolds off the wall. He's up against Shock now. Pinches to the side. J. Rush into the back third once more. Sipical with the boomer. Final minute of game 2. Down by 2. Pinch does not go in. Shock was trying. Maybe see if he could repeat goal number 1, but in his favor this time. 44 boost. Rolled is already up for it. Got the flip reset. Uses it immediately to try and chase this dunk, or chase the read rather. Didn't find anything there. It's a difficult play at best. Shock now back down to the midfield. Here's J. Russ with the adjustment onto the backboard. Reynolds will get a clear. J. Russ with it once more. The rest of the pressure from Sonics. There's Shock through 2. Arsenal backflips it into the corner, and Roldes will chase this one down. It's past 1. Here's Shock up and high, just barely off the crossbar. J. Russ up for it. Double tap. No, doesn't touch it. Shock going to try, but Arsenal beats him into an empty backfield. Roldes on the respawn will move back in. 18 seconds left. They've got to score now.
Oh my gosh! Roldes bumped Reynolds, and I thought that just made him own goal the ball for a moment. And Sonics would have loved for that to happen, but now with 5 seconds, I don't think they have the time. A great last push, though, from the Sonics. There are a lot of good looks in net, just not able to get it around the defense or just inside the frame. Tough stuff. But Space Station Gaming 2-0 in the series. And again, really didn't do too much, just won a couple of races, popped a couple of surprise goals in over the Sonics' head, and that was all they needed.
Yeah, they had their best looks usually were thwarted. It was the 2 goals from Reynolds, 1 on the fluke pinch, 1 on the drag race onto the wall, winning that one and getting it into the net, and then Sipical puts one in as well. Sonics finally on the board. It took them, they've scored 1 goal though in 10 minutes, and that final minute or so, I agree with you. Great pressure. Most of what you need to beat any team, but I feel like now, after watching them on offense there, it felt to me it just wasn't fast enough. There was the times of like, okay, there's the pass, I need to see a shot right now, and it came about a second and a half later, and that second and a half was a huge difference, especially when playing against a team as good as SSG.
Yep, time given is time wasted in Rocket League when it comes to the offensive side of things, and if the Sonics are able to continue to have that good pressure and really just ramp up the speed, I mean, they do kind of run into that double-edged sword where you might just try and do too much, and this one looks good. Hey. Combine it with a demo. Yeah, that's all you need.
Roldiz flicks two of them, gets both goalies to bite, and then Shock's just got to put it on target. Roldiz gets the demolition, or gets demoed coming out of net, but it's enough of a screen. And hey, look at that. Soniqs got the lead here in game 3. Let's see if they can hold on to it.
Yeah, that was a monster 45-degree flick too from Roldiz.
Yeah.
That's a you'll pull out every defender with a flick like that. No, J. Russ, my heart hurts for you. You did not deserve this. You're in position. You think, oh, I can go get it. Hang on, there's typical. I can still get it. Oh, what have I done?
First Roldiz's own goal in game 1, then J. Rush's pinch in game 2, and now another pinch, this time off the woodwork into your own goal, and the lead that they had fought so hard to gain is gone in an instant. 2 goals straight, 2 kickoffs, and Space Station's back on top.
And J. Russ gets put in a bad spot here. He knows Typical can score that, and he's thinking he's going to shoot it all the way, but he just pops it off the wall, and to J. Russ's credit, almost makes it all the way to the complete opposite end of the net, but Reynolds placed it too well. Soniqs having to defend some tough shooting here, but J. Russ having a rough defensive start here in game 3.
And now they're right back where they found themselves for the rest of the series, playing from behind, having to go up against a salty Space Station defense. J. Russ over the top of one. Typical with the booming clear. Roldiz has a read. This touch goes into the box and towards the defenders. Space Station and 2 touches will get this one across midfield. Now 4 touches into the box. Roldiz will try to dribble it out. The boost got stolen out of the corner. Ball very loose, and Arsenal will move in to take control. J. Russ takes it off of him on the ceiling. It's Typical now, looking to flick Shock. Shock falls back towards the goal, up against Reynolds. Does he hit the flip reset at the last moment? Nearly tried to. That could have been creative. The first minute gonna come and go. 3 goals already on the board. What's lining up to be an exciting game 3.
And right now, Space Station. How about Arsenal?
Bye. Oh, this is so good. Watch him take this to the air. He gets the flip reset early, up against J. Rush, uses it late. And 3-1 Space Station in style achieves.
I mean, what are you supposed to do against that? I mean, he pops that short, and J. Russ is right. You got to get up. You got to force him to show his hand, and Arsenal showed him the fake with the flip reset, and the defense just couldn't cover it up. I mean, what are you even supposed to do? It's executed so well.
When Arsenal's styling on you, nice save, but that's not going to be good enough. The follow-up from Space Station. See the speed. They get the speed on the follow-ups. The big difference here between these 2 teams.
And that's just a tough one, too, because J. Russ, again, that's the 3rd time in this game where he has been so close to being perfect on the defense. I mean, that shot is just barely wide, and he has to respect it as if it's in because it just might be. And that's just so heartbreaking if you're the Soniqs right there, because you feel like you're making the right choices and they don't even get the pinch back.
The luck is not on their side. You're going to have to beat luck if you're Soniqs right now. But Space Station's speed, I mean, Typical's positioning on that goal, to me, is the difference maker between these 2 teams. I've not once in this series, to my memory, seen Soniqs crash the box with multiple players, of having a player in the corner and one already in front of the box waiting for the bid not to go in and just to be able to kind of guide it in. We'll see if they're able to find one here, but still there's Shock up for it. And here's the follow from Roldiz, close positioning. Now here goes J. Rush. Oh, it's wide, and now the accuracy starting to plague him a little bit. Shock now, gonna try and block Typical, who's picking up boost on the way into the corner. Somehow gets a flip through that. Now back onto the corner. All 3 players from the Soniqs bunched up over here on the side, leaving the rest of the field for Space Station to work with. And they're gonna play it out of the corner and in. Reynolds gets it, 5-1 Space Station. They're gonna sweep them.
Talk about the adjustment here from Space Station. I mean, Reynolds is going to support Arsenal there in the corner at first, and he just realizes, wait, Arsenal can still get that, and he just turns left to catch Arsenal's touch and smashes that to the left side. Man, on the fly adjustment into a perfect shot.
J. Russ tried to get the flip reset shot, and Shock tried to come in with a follow-up. Again, just a little bit of space given, plenty of time for a player as good as Arsenal.
And you gotta love how Space Station are managing the game as well. I mean, ever since they had that 2-goal lead from the start, every opportunity that they can, they've been taking air dribbles, slow plays, forcing Soniqs to come to them and make difficult challenges, and it has wasted so much extra time off the clock.
Yeah, I mean, surprisingly, in a 5-1 scoreline, there's still 1:40 left to go. I mean, as far as time to get goals in, you got to score them when you got them. Right there, Soniqs not able to put another one in. 2 defenders were in front of the ball. Difficult play to make, but still, you've got to find, when you've gotten all the work done to get the ball into the box, you've got to see it hit the back of the net. Down by 4 right now. This will be an unprecedented comeback. Reynolds up to Arsenal. What? Shotgun's the save. I still can't believe Arsenal actually made the shot.
Probably say back in game 2, a lot of different weapons on that kid.
Yeah. I mean, I still remember Season 8 Worlds as typical.
No.
Get this one 2 off the post and back out, and then not get the Brazil set up just yet. But Arsenal, when he's feeling good, it starts to look like he's in free play.
He can do anything, you swear, sometimes. Give him space and say, do it this way. He goes, okay.
I was like, wait, that's cool. How about I add a few extra buttons, a few extra inputs, a few extra twists to the play? I understand physics. J-Russ trying to bump Reynolds out of goal. 30 seconds left here and down by 4. The series is over. It's just a matter of whether we get the Brazil or not at this point. Space Station will qualify for our playoffs. And we'll see Soniqs continue to look for that 3rd win into round 5. So set up there. J-Russ gets it off to the corner. And we've talked about this a few times. Not really a lot of glaring mistakes from this team, other than maybe recognition of the value you've already created on the field.
Yeah.
Being willing to commit to it.
You know, it's always the delicate, tightrope walk when you're on offense of, can you commit, can you not? Because when you're already down, you don't want to go further into the pit. And so it's always having to navigate that risk versus reward payoff. And there were certainly a couple times in this series where the Soniqs didn't quite realize their equity on offense. And that could be down to a number of different factors. They could just not have the boost because they were controlling the midfield again fairly decently early on, but who's to say that it's enough to be in position to also play the ball? You might just be having enough boost to be able to sit there and consistently challenge and hope for another chance to open up. But one way or the other, the Soniqs, when they have their chance to actually put one on target, just couldn't quite deliver, and Space Station showed them why execution is king.
It was king there. They did finish that series off in style. Space Station get the clean sweep there, only allowing 2 goals, I believe, that entire time. So what a performance from them. We'll see them next weekend. But we now have concluded round 4, and it's time to move on to round 5. We're going to get that one set up. We'll be right back after a quick break.